In this video, you'll discover why the typical training plan is likely causing you to get injured and how to avoid getting injured by only running 3 times a week. It's the same training plan that I and all my clients have used. And so if you would like these exact training plans for free, there's a link below. You can grab them. If not, enjoy the training. How to avoid getting injured while training for your half or full marathon. So the typical half or full marathon training plan, you'll run 5, maybe even 6 times a week. You'll do multiple type of runs, speed intervals, tempo runs, easy runs, fartlegs. You'll run hills, and typically you'll run about 40 miles a week. Some training plans are 50, maybe even 60 miles per week. And if you're training for your first half or full marathon, or you haven't ran a race in a few years, or you're just simply not a professional, well, your story could be very similar to mine. I was someone who didn't have any running experience. My first marathon was just 5 years ago in 2019. And the way I got into it was I read the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And in his book, he talks about how he ran 100 miles for a fallen soldier. He didn't have any running experience. He didn't even know that the 100 miles was a consecutive. He thought it was broken up over multiple days. And when he ran the 100 miles, he ends up fracturing his legs, and it was a pretty disastrous experience, but he was able to complete it. And when I read that as a joke, I said, if he can run 100 miles, then I can run a marathon. And that joke kind of turned into a thought. That thought turned into a belief. And I was looking at my schedule. It was January of 2019. I was college at Oregon State, about 20, I think 21 maybe. I was just sitting in my apartment there, and I was like, Portland Marathon's in October. It's January now. That gives me 9 months to run 26.2 miles. I think I can do that. And it just turned into an action. And so what I started to do was I went on Google and I downloaded a typical marathon training plan that had me run 5 times a week. If you search up how to train for a marathon or marathon training plans, all the training plans are very similar. It's run 4, 5, 6 times a week, just run heavy. And because I didn't know any better, I assumed that that was the right way. Everyone was saying you got to run 5, 6 times a week, high volume, and just run. So I thought, okay, well, this is what everyone's saying. They have a lot more experience to me. This must be right. And what ended up happening, because I was new to running, because I didn't have a lot of experience, because it was my first race, I ended up injuring both my knees. First, it was my right knee. And then I couldn't run for a couple weeks after that. And then, of course, it was my left knee. And so I was out for a couple months, no running at all. And I was probably 3 months into my marathon training at the time. And the farthest I had run was like 3 miles, maybe 4 miles. And so I wasn't making any progress. Time was definitely ticking. I was dealing with the shin splints. I was burned out and tired of the training. I really didn't enjoy it at all. Like it wasn't really that fun. And I got to the point where I had to make a decision if I wanted to continue training or I wanted to quit. And I was definitely considering just quitting. Like, lifting weights is my first love. It's a passion of mine. And so running was more just, all right, this is a challenge. Like, if I do it, I do it. But I was talking to my dad, who has ran many marathons. We run a marathon together every single year. Sometimes 2. We'll be running the San Antonio Marathon in December of this year. And he was saying that you don't need to run every single day. And what I ended up doing was I reduced my running to 3 times a week, and I went back to lifting weights. And this is actually the training plan that I created while in my apartment. I think it was my junior year in college, on a piece of paper. On Monday, and this after a few variations, of course, but on Monday, I would do a push day, chest, shoulders, triceps. Tuesday would be a medium run. Wednesday would be a leg day, quads, glutes, hamstrings, calves. Thursday is a short run. Friday, pull day, back and biceps. And then Saturday or Sunday is the long run. And the benefits of doing this is, number one, it's less running. Instead of running 40, 50 miles per week, on average, you're running about 20, 25 miles a week. The most you'll ever run during marathon training is 30 miles, and you only got to do that once. And so because it's less running, it allows for more recovery time. As you see, I'm running every other day. And so I'm allowing my body to recover after each run. If you run on Monday and then you run on Tuesday and then Wednesday and Thursday, you're not allowing your body to recover from the run before. And what causes injuries is trying to train on sore, fatigued muscles. That's usually the thing that causes injuries. And if you don't allow for injuries, well, you're just increasing the likelihood of getting injured. And so having the run split up, only running 3 times a week, it reduces the chances of overuse injuries. Runner's knee, plantar fasciitis, shin splints, any type of hip problems, because there was a study done by Yale. It was saying about 50% of runners get injured each year, right? 50%. Let's say that's millions of people each year get injured. And it's simply because of the amount of volume they were doing while they're running. And so if you try running every day, you're only increasing the likelihood of you getting injured. Now imagine if you do get injured. If you're in my situation, you're not able to train for a few weeks, even a couple of months. And luckily, I was able to bounce back somewhat soon, and I had 6 more months until my marathon. But if you're in a situation where your marathon is next month, can you afford a knee injury? Can you afford to have shin splints? Chances are no, right? And then if you're in that situation, you either A, have to run through pain, which is not comfortable, B, run your race and just not perform as well, or C, defer your race. And so then all your hard work that you did at the months leading up just go down the drain. And so running 3 times a week is ideal because there's also less burnout and less fatigue. You're allowing your body physically and mentally to recover after each run. And then because you're doing the strength training on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you're going to get stronger, right? You're going to build up the strength in your body. And if you do that, especially in your legs, and you really focus, like I've talked to a lot of runners, and some people say they do strength training, but they just do it for 10 minutes, or they'll do some body weight exercises, or they count Pilates as a strength training workout, and none of that counts. You got to make sure that you're using free weights, the dumbbells, the barbells, and you're really pushing yourself hard in the gym to get the most out of all your workouts. And if you do that, well, that's when you get stronger, at least the most efficient way. And then if you're stronger, you're going to be able to run faster. And you're also going to be able to run farther, because what you're going to notice is you're going to be able to maintain your pace for more miles. Because what ends up happening, especially on the longer runs or when you're running a marathon, is runners will hit the wall at mile 16, 18, or even 20. And the reason they hit the wall is not because of cardiovascular shape. It's because they didn't have the physical strength in their legs to maintain their pace for more miles. And so the way I look at strength training is I want to be so strong that's unreasonable for me to slow down until I cross the finish line. And if you focus on getting stronger, you'll notice instead of you getting tired at, let's say, mile 20, you're not going to get tired until you cross the finish line. It will be like having horsepower or having nitrous as a car, right? It's essentially strength training is equivalent to a car having nitrous. And you want to make sure that you focus on strength training and for the entire duration. I see some training cycles where people will lift weights 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I'm like, you're not getting anything out of that. First off, it takes significantly long time to get stronger. I've been lifting weights for 13 years, right? 13 years. And I'm barely scratched the surface on how strong I think I will be down the road. So it's a very long process. And so if you just lift weights for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you're kind of just wasting your time. It needs to be something that's continuous, that you do every single week. You train each muscle group, you push yourself hard in the gym, and then you do it for decades, not just a couple days. And then if you do that, well, then you really start to see all the pieces come together. Your overall marathon performance is going to be better. You're going to be faster. You're going to be stronger. Your legs aren't going to be as tired. You're not going to be fatiguing, and you'll be able to set PRs. And then on top of that, right, since you're lifting weights, you're going to look a lot better, right? The people who lift weights that have the lean muscle, they look the best. You see a lot of these runners that, no offense, they look like spaghetti noodles. And I just personally don't think that's the most attractive look. But if you lift weights, you're going to have lean muscle definition, tonality. And so it's all around a win if you just follow this training plan. And so if you want my training plans, I have a 12-week half marathon training plan that's laid out day by day. I have a 16-week full marathon training plan that's laid out day by day. You can actually have it for free. In the link below, you'll be able to download what I call the perfect training plan. It will literally walk you through day by day of exactly what you need to do for every single day for 12 weeks and 16 weeks. So if you want that, you'll be able to get that in the link below. But I hope you enjoyed this overall training.